set. Anyway, recording. Oh, there we go. Recording started right there. So, yeah, we're finishing up on this three-part clubhouse roundtable, right? So, yo, hello, there you go. Yeah, the third part, it didn't see me on the thing on front. And so we've been through a lot of this. It's not really going to be very long. I just can't see it being very long at this point. But I guess we can always review little bits. And or the idea is kind of to feed it back into your guys' hands, right? Because Barbara, I don't think you were at the second one, but you were at the first one. You weren't at the first one, Trina, but Barbara was at the first one. And so I'm just saying, with all the back and forth, Hassan, he's been at every one. I mean, it's like, does he have time on his hands or what? That's a good thing. But I feel like this kind of can allow maybe, these are starter ideas and questions that maybe it can allow you guys to finally feel like you can start to talk and maybe have the questioning really start to be lifted off through you all, right? And we're kind of taking a step back. That's a perhaps, right? Who knows, right? But and as this will be really the last one of the roundtable for this semester, you're only again we're originally going to have one, and after seeing how the response was from that first one, we had two more of them, right? So this is gonna be the last one for this semester, but we obviously know that we're gonna have, quite a few for in the spring semester, but I feel like this can at least give us a good starting point. So again, we went through the big picture and icebreakers. We went through some of these things. We did do a small win. Do we have any other new small wins? Does anyone have any new small wins? Trina, do you have any new small wins? I mean, I know you, Rise SAB, was it? You were trying to working on some stuff. Any update in that? Any positive things in that?
I'm not getting a whole lot of participation or help with the other officers for the holiday meal. They have lots of ideas at the meetings, but then no follow through.
No follow through. Mm-hmm. Have you potentially asked or checked in with your one of your two advisors to see
like a meeting tomorrow
how they can help kind of give you that support, right?
Yeah, so I brought it up today, and we have a meeting tomorrow. So we're amping up having a meeting every week to try to get so it's not all on me, especially since I live so far away. And a lot of the officers are younger, and so it's going to give them that experience that is going to help them in the future that they don't necessarily have yet.
Very much, yeah. They need, that is the whole point, is giving that leadership. You've had that amazing opportunity for the leadership, allowing the club to continue to thrive, have different viewpoints and ideas because of different leadership. Right?
And I've already gotten some, so like I had over the weekend sent out a bunch of donation requests, and I've already gotten a couple of responses back. So I'm hoping that when I share that tomorrow, that'll help get them excited and on board.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so now, Hassan, do you have any new small wins or things going on that you want to share or bring up?
Yeah, definitely. I think for my personal projects, I do have small wins. But for my club, I think there's an upcoming small win for the winter break or the winter market. So I'm looking forward for that.
Awesome. I'll also plug right now, because since we've officially sent it out to all the clubs today and the herbs, the Fall Involvement Fair is next week on the 20th, on Thursday. Based on your guys' feedback, not just you guys, but the general feedback from all of the clubs, saying we want it later in the day. We push it back from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So it's a really nice time because it's at the very end. That following week we have we have a holiday weekend, so then we have campus closure for a couple of days on top of that. So it gives a really nice opportunity for a nice Thursday pre-holiday weekend moment to try to get some new membership. Continuously always work on building that membership and by getting new officers in, but because there's members that's stepping up, right? But also just a nice way to interact with the students, and it's relaxed, right? I mean, it is 1 to 3, just very chill, right? So we just released that 100%, and we did kind of have a teaser going on from the newsletter post to the we had the images, the TV images posted last week, and now we officially sent it out to all the clubs and the orgs for signing up so they can officially get a spot. And we don't have many spots available, so this is a great opportunity. So if you didn't fully get a chance, either one, maybe I'm always going to say promote clubs to do involvement fairs because they're always important in general. But if if you're at capacity, you've already done the one that you need to get points for the incentive program, then I understand, and hey, I'm not back off and say I get it, and I'm not going to push, right? But if you have gotten the opportunity, haven't got the opportunity yet, this is a great opportunity that now to get in and actually do the your involvement for activity, and it would be considered the table at campus sponsored event. That's the requirement that I'm referring to on the incentive program. So yeah, this is one of those moments. But again, it's always good to be doing these things. So the idea though is hopefully that if you have the leadership, you cycle out officers if one officer is maybe doing something, what have you, and stuff like that. So please check your emails because everyone would have gotten it who's an officer. And if you're interested, please sign up, right?
I did have a win, actually, at our last
Yes.
meeting. I sent out
Great.
a kind of like a newsletter thing of like, this is what we're doing. We need, volunteers to do some stuff. We're throwing this. And I had like 3 new people come to our meeting.
That's awesome.
Well, some old, some new.
That's a win.
Some that like old, like used to come. Yeah.
That's actually even more of a win than you think, right? Because I know we always like to downplay it, like, well, I didn't do it, but your attempts have reunited a former member who's maybe more dormant to come back in and actually be active again. So that's a huge win, right? So that's really amazing. 3, you said? That's really good, honestly. I'm excited to hear about that. Oh my God, it's Barbara, BG, what's up? She's back.
Oh, a lot.
Barbara, we're just doing a quick, I'm just gonna recap quickly, that we were just talking about the fact this is probably gonna be short because we don't have a lot of answers left to really go over in the original prepared, roundtable discussion. This is the last one for the fall. We'll have multiple ones in the spring. And so, we're gonna kind of finish these off, and then hopefully if you guys have questions or want to talk and amongst each other while we kind of hang out in the back and just watching and observe, we're supporting and encouraging that. But we're starting it off with going back to the first one, because I just think it's really good to just look at that. Maybe I can actually, I can point, I have the laser, I can do, what's a small win that your club has had recently that you're really proud of? So Barbara, BG, what is a small win that you've had recently, for your club?
So for Love Grow Serve, we did we hosted a decorating a ornament decorating event at the Goodman South and the Truex campuses last week, a week before, one of those times. But that turned out really, really well. I think I ended up sending over 40 ornaments out to Operation Ornament, so that was good. And then Active Minds, this past Friday, we had an event where we had people make self-care jars, and that turned out, that turned out better than we could have expected, better than we expected. I mean, I actually had to bring more tables over to the table setup because more people joined than what we thought were going to join. So I was really, really excited about that. I seen some faces that I had talked to at different events and stuff that were there participating. So yeah, I think just the word is getting out, and yeah, they're wanting to do stuff. So
I should have came. I failed my exam anyway.
Mm,
no,
yeah,
don't think of it that way, Trina.
yeah. Positive mindsets,
That
right?
was a positive mindset. I was looking at it. I should have just went.
Yeah. As far as those self-care jars, I mean, they are popular. I'll tell you. I remember one year they were done, and that was the first year that eyes opened up and said, we got to bring more self-care jars to this whole neck of the woods, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that was a fun tip for everyone. Self-care jars.
So we actually bought a bunch of supplies. We kind of bought a bunch of supplies because we figured it's something that we could do again. So we are going to plan to do another event, possibly right before the end of the semester, and do another self-care jar event type of deal. So.
And you know what? There was another good tip in there. Surplus. Buying. You see something that works and you buy a bunch of it, that'll allow you to continue to have some supply that you can then manage your funds. I mean, that's a.
Yeah, we have a bunch of extra, like we did the cards and the vision boards for PTK,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do those multiple times throughout the year too,
Thank you.
because they were big, especially with the STEM students.
No STEM, science, technology, engineering. What? All right, so we're gonna go through and see where we left off. Hopefully, well, we definitely know that Hashmi over here is gonna know, 'cause he's betting everyone so far. But we will try to see. We kind of went over. I think we went over this.
Yeah.
How do you ensure everyone's voice is heard? Yep. And then leadership and sustainability was.
Show up to every meeting.
Yeah. Show up to every that one. Nice.
Well, because I love you guys, thank you.
Yeah, that's not. We love you too, buddy. All right, and so I think this is the last section, though. Can you hand me that sheet just to
Can
verify?
someone give me advice on number 3?
Yeah, I just want to see the one of those flash. Does that really say that? Yeah, it does say that. Yeah, so this is the last slide. So whoop, there it is. There it is. All right, so we could start with that. Delegation, how do you empower members to help with logistics so officers don't have to do everything? This is great. This is a hard one, right? This is a really hard one. And I'm going to look, I don't really have it. I mean, as much as I can say communicate, right? It doesn't always do much sometimes, right? Laying everything out on the table and saying, this is what we want to do this, right? We need to do some stuff in the middle, right? Sometimes when I try to have like, I got a nephew, right? He's young. He's like 4, right? So sometimes they're like, if you want this ice cream, right? You gotta use some stuff to get to that spot, right? And like helping to kind of lay out something in a way like that is like, there's a step to get to that, right? How can I can't do it all by myself, right? If we gotta clean up the living room, right? And we want ice cream afterwards, we gotta clean up and pick up all the toys, right? And then they see it. Now, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But sometimes that does help, right? When you're just talking about things like that. But that doesn't always do anything at all either, right? So I don't have the answer to this, right? And so I'm hoping that maybe, which is the idea of the premise of this roundtable, is that we talk and we discuss what could be some good ways of doing it, right? So I'm gonna look at Hashmi over here and say, hit me with your Hashmi. You know, like, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, for number 3.
Yeah, number 3, delegation. And maybe when we're looking at this is what, looking at experience from it, right? Like, is there a time when you've had something like either it be, we'll use the example of the welcome meeting, I think that you talked about a couple at the last round table where we were talking about this, and we were to say like, well, how do you end up putting something like that on? There's gonna be some logistics behind that, you know, to be able to making sure that either the room is well, the supplies are gotten, or the communications are out, or what have you. There's things, but if you only have two minimum officers, right, which is all you really need, 2 student officers, that's a lot to put on, you know, 2 individuals, right? Those that have more than that, the lucky, right? But they might not always be communicating, or even like, and they may be kind of maybe busy doing their academics. That might, but that doesn't mean it doesn't take away from the club's ability to be effective and do what their mission is and goals, right? So how do you empower the membership, the general members or the active membership, or how you want to define what members is? How do you empower them to give them that sense of taking on a role and stepping up and being supportive? Like, how do you find that to and be able to do that,
I have
right?
a couple of
Yeah,
ideas.
that's an excellent question. I guess there's a lot of factors that we can talk about. One of the things that I use in my club is reward and accountability. So, for example, let's say we have something and we need to make this like, paper project or coloring or something, or we need to put the room together. For us, we could use like simple reward. Like if you come and really help us with this, we could give you like a $10, target gift card, or a premium candy, or like a cultural candy, or like something from your home country that could be very 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 nice as a gift. Maybe we could use also certificate, like for example, if you help us with this volunteering as a member, you could get some volunteering hours also. So reward and accountability is one of the factors that I use honestly in my club, but there's also so many other stuff that we could empower our members. um
That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, what about the accountability? I mean, I've heard the reward, that makes, but what about accountability? Because when I think of accountability, I mean, truthfully, I think what happens when you don't do something and you have to be held accountable for it, right? But I mean, that's my pessimistic side looking at that. That doesn't necessarily mean that is the
You're
way,
part
right?
of this club, so you should be helping.
Yeah, so I mean, how do you look at defining, the accountability side of reward and accountability?
Yeah, it's not like, punishing or anything like that. It's more like, hey, if you do this for us, we may consider you putting as an officer if you take this kind of a responsibility or this kind of a project as a member, and we may consider you putting you as an officer or something. It's more like for them to, hey, understand that if you want to do this, it's very important that you finish it, or you take lead on this, and please, and not to jeopardize this thing. So that's where like accountability comes in.
Interesting. Good. All right, that's interesting. Chino, you had some ideas?
Yeah, so like say we have this holiday meal coming up
Yeah.
for, students without families. If say we have members who are photographers, we could say we need somebody with photography experience, and if you come take pictures, and we'll put your pictures on our social media and we'll use your name, and then you can get, exposure.
Yeah.
Or we need some marketing materials designed, and maybe we have a member who's doing that, and
Yeah.
then they could get exposure by designing some of our marketing materials.
Yeah, that's.
It's not something that we've used, but when we were just talking about it, I kind of thought
I mean,
about
that's
that.
actually really smart. I mean, it's barter, I think bartering and trade, right? Like finding some way of saying, hey, your skill can be usable in this club. You may not think it's usable, but it could actually be usable. And it could help us, but it could also help you, having them see that. Barbara, BG, you had your hand raised. What's going on? You have something that you can add to this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when you said about accountability, accountability to me equals communication. So I understand that people's, schedules sometimes don't match up, and, members or people want to be part of the club, but their, schedule just doesn't align for it. And then that's where the communication aspect comes in, involved. Um, um, as far as, yes, I want to, I still want to be involved with the club. Perfect example, I have a member, the one that hosted, she actually led the self-care jar this past Friday. I know her schedule, she doesn't allow for her to attend our meetings, but she keeps in communication with me. And I asked her, would you like to, what do you feel comfortable? Would you like to lead an activity or something like that? Something that you feel comfortable leading. And I made it to where, it was all pretty much accessible to her, as far as I left it for a date for her to kind of choose around her schedule and things like that. So, accountability is communication. Keep, as long as you're in communication, and my members, and then back to, what consider an active member. Well, we have it in our bylaws, and it kind of changes per semester depending on how many meetings we have, right? Each semester is about 16 weeks. If we have bi-weekly meetings, that's 8 meetings that we possibly can have, give or take, maybe 1 or 2 missing. So we say, okay, to be an active member, you have to attend at least 3 meetings within that semester to be considered an active meeting. Because I've seen it before where people will say, oh yeah, I'm a member and I'm an active member, but they don't show up, they don't do anything, don't communicate. But if that club or group or org gets spotlighted, then they want to jump up and get recognition then. And it's like, yeah, just because,
Yeah, that's frustrating.
you weren't active, yes, you were a
Yeah,
member, but you weren't active. So I think it's very, very important that each club states in their bylaws what is considered to be an active member within that club, and hold them
yeah, I mean,
accountable for that.
yeah, a couple things. Let's go back to active membership. Now, I think most clubs, right, and the bylaw aficionado over here would know exactly, but I think most clubs would define active members as how many meetings they go to, or how many events they participate or attend in, right? It's the number of something, right? Number of events, meetings, call them one and the same, right? But it doesn't always mean that, right? I mean, and it's interesting because I think there's different ways that can be looked at. I mean, um, what are some other ideas? I mean, I guess 'cause I think the way that we looked at this question, I think was a little bit different. I don't know, maybe we defined it differently. Let's see here. Ashmi, do you remember what we had, since that was a big picture, that's the order, so yeah, how do you define your active members, Ashmi?
Yeah, that's a good question because we only have few events during the year, so really it's not about the
You only
numbers
have two
itself.
events?
No, we have like 3 or 4 events per semester, so not that
Oh,
much, like big events I'm talking about, not the regular meetings. But
you
really,
have
we don't
regular
define
meetings.
our people by numbers or uh, how many, how many meetings they come with. We define them how much work they do, honestly, and how much contribution and maybe promoting our club and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
we don't really go by like the Senate, like if you come 3 times, you become a member already.
yeah, that's actually really, it's really, yeah. It's really smart, actually, how much you contribute. And using the example of promoting, that could be a great promotion strategy, really, when you think about it. I mean, handing off, how much you table for us once or twice, that you define as active membership, or if you hand out
Yes, and how many
flyers.
hours you did put in the tabling. Like maybe
Yeah,
they stayed all day, so that's like one of the biggest factors.
yeah, that's actually very interesting, right? Very interesting. Gina, do you define that?
I guess I hadn't really thought about this because it's not something that I
Have run into yet?
well, it's not something I personally like keep track of for myself as
Mhm.
far as like being an active member in, like, I'm in a lot of different clubs like on Wolfpack, but I don't have time to, here I read about the stuff and I look at the events and I'm like, well, maybe I'll try to make it to that, but I don't, I guess, define myself whether or not I'm an active member.
Yeah.
As far as SAB goes, I guess the active members would be basically the leadership, but we only have like those two events really, and then it's more so we're the voices of Rise.
Mhm.
So anybody who wants to come and say this is something I've been thinking about could be an active member. They fall under Rise.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah, and I mean, as far as active minds goes, I might have a different opinion than Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that it could be, this is what I need right now. It's a mental health support group, and it might not be what I need in 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So
but
how
that might be
long-
personal, that might be,
Right. How long does active mean? Like,
well, I mean, I want to clarify by saying that there was no requirement to have there be an active member, right? There was obviously in terms of
well,
just.
no, I just meant like my thought process. Is
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm making clear
Yeah.
to everybody, right, and anyone who's watching as well, that there's no necessary requirement that you have active membership. I first was reading the bylaws where I saw that they really heavily used that word of active members. I saw this a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? Because that really does open up a answer to a question that I know that I felt like I was seeing, which is, I have all these members, and it's a huge list of members, but how many of these are actually participating? Sometimes, Hashmi just said that we have only a few events, but we have general meetings, right? My question to him would have been, well, and he can answer this because I'll add back to this, which is, Hashmi, of those general meetings, on whatever recurring basis you have them on, are all members allowed to attend? And if they aren't, then do active members are they just allowed to attend, or who's allowed to attend those reoccurring meetings?
Yes, for the reoccurring meeting of for the officers is mandatory unless you have excuse. But everybody's open to attend.
But
It's an
these
open meeting.
general
But
club
then,
meetings, is
yeah,
that what they are?
yes, for the general meetings, is this the only thing during the general meeting? If we're having any decisions about the club, you're only as an officer, you only have the decision to talk about it, not as uh, a regular or open member.
So, yeah, that, there we go. That's kind of leads to what I guess I'm kind of getting at here is active members allow you to kind of know who's all talking and who's all able to provide input. I would assume that many clubs, they only have officers making those decisions, the big decisions. It's nice to see when all of the membership, including that with the officers, are making decisions. But yeah, most times the officers just need to be making that role. But I know there are some clubs that I know that I've read that if you become an active member, you get say in making decisions, right? It's like a sub-tier of being semi-leadership, a semi-leader role, right? And that's a perk. The more you're engaging, you get the perk of being an active member, and the active member, you get to make some decisions, right? That might be some of a buy-in, like, oh, I don't have to fully feel like I'm fully invested, but I get to be somewhat invested, right? And so that's, it feels, that allows, sometimes can even allow you to find some metrics on to what you would
Well, that's
qualify
how-
as success as,
The
right?
RISE SAB is if you're at the meeting, then you're at the table of whatever it is we're discussing.
So like, if you come to one meeting on the beginning of the semester, don't show up for the entire year and then come up to the meeting at like the very end and then think, oh, I have, depending on which club you're in, I want to have some say in this and vote. You may not get to if you're not an active member, right?
Right.
And you may, depending, they might have said, hey, we're not recognizing you as a member anymore if you don't show up for that long of a time. That could be other thing, but I mean, again, it depends. But active members are not a required terminology that you have to have in there. It just, I think it helps do a lot of things in terms of identifying your successes, your metrics, your incentives in terms of being able to get delegation going, right? Or like, you help, you get to be an active member. But I know most times active members, if they are defined in your bylaws, right? They're usually by the number of meetings you attend. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? And so that's something to think about and something to add, right? Just as a thought, Brittany, you your hand up?
I thought you did too.
Yeah, we both thought you did, yeah. Raise your hand up there for a second. Great, what's she doing? What's she gonna say now? All right, so, all right, since we're making great timing, I'm gonna go into, let's go back up to the top right now. Enter roles. Which part of your officer role gives you the most energy? Which part drains you the most? What helps you hang in there? What energizes you and brings you joy in being a club officer? So, this is a sweet kicker here. Leadership and sustainability, that is a 1, 2, 3, a 4-part question. Zing. All right, so, Hashmi, you there, buddy? Cool. Let's see here. What part of your officer role gives you the most energy? Let's off what your role is in the club. I didn't break this yet, but I did break it. But which part? Yeah, what is your officer role? See, I didn't break it. Yeah, think and do thing at the same time. But then after you've listed off what your role is, what do you find gives you the most energy?
Yeah, I'm vice president of administration and finance. The biggest thing I think, other than like resume and stuff like that, and like adding it to your job, what's on our LinkedIn, I think the biggest thing is like the experience you're getting before school, or sorry, I mean while being in school is the biggest factor, because a lot of once you graduate, you don't get to have these kind of opportunities, and it's really takes you time to start developing and putting the meetings and the groups and your members together in the workforce area. And really you could talk about this and how you're leading projects, you're putting the members together, you're creating ideas, you're making initiatives when you're applying to your job, so you could really expedite your how they call it, like you could expedite your level from entry level position to a medium level position, just because you have done this while being in school, leading
Yeah,
projects and putting the teams together.
sweet. We're just gonna go everyone at a time. Which part drains you the most here of being a vice president of admin and finance?
I think it's just overall not overspending in our budget.
So you'll be the kind of the equivalent of like a treasurer, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, nice. Um, so yeah, that part seems to be the hardest. What about that seems to be the hardest? Trying to like manage everyone's expectations of what money we have and don't have, or even do you have an actual example?
I have an actual example. Well, no, not an actual example. I have more like an example where, like, there is a lot of demand for putting this kind of a meeting and this kind of a party and this kind of a thing, but really, what really stays and it stays with the members afterwards the meeting, that's what the thing is important. Like for example, we cannot be having a event once a semester, or sorry, once a month, because that's a lot and we don't really have the money for that. In order for us to really make it once a semester the biggest event, we really want to make it the most impactful way, and the money has to be used wisely. We cannot be putting candies and desserts every general meeting or every executive meeting. That goes after the budget, and you're gonna be jeopardizing the budget for bigger events. So really making sure the pieces and the bits goes the pieces and of the money goes to bigger events rather than smaller events where they don't have impact. I think the other thing is really uh, defining how you're gonna be working with bigger projects in your future work career, and really how do you handle them. Um, so that's the biggest two factors.
Nice. What helps you, hang in there? I guess you kind of answered that. Maybe if you have anything else to add on that, but how about what energizes you or brings you the most joy being a club officer?
Yeah, I think we have talked about it in our I think last meeting or something. It's your really people who you work with, and the officer and the president, and how much you guys are. I think there was a whole session about collaboration and how much you guys are like collaborative in the environment.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about that, but, it could be, to say that they're one and the same and also not the same are both truthful statements, right? So that's why, it's coming up like this, but, all right, so, that was a phone. All right, so now, let's, Barbara,
Enjoying Marty.
Yep.
Barbara, you there, Barbara? All right,
Yeah, I'm
so,
here. Can you hear me?
what's your role? What are your officer roles? Um, and after you list off them, which part of your officer roles gives you the most energy?
So I'm the president of two clubs, Love, Grow, and Serve, and Active Minds here at the college. What gives me the most energy is prepping for events and stuff, and getting events together. I think I get really excited about the event part of the clubs. Um, which in turn it also drains me the most, right? Because it's a lot of preparation to do
Yeah.
sometimes, especially if you don't have a lot of help, um, or if you
Now you
forget
will.
something.
Now you will
Right.
with the delegation aspect mentioned, right? So
I know I can't
Yep.
fail that.
it should give you a
So
little bit more energy, right? Um,
yeah.
what helps you hang in there though?
Um, my why, the purpose behind me doing it. So I mean, I love it. Pretty much everybody knows me. I love. I love people and I love helping. So it's kind of my purpose. I feel is in life. So that's what keeps me going and what keeps me motivated, and what energizes you and brings joy. Being a club officer, the outcome, the end results of it. I love seeing people get excited when they hear about the two various clubs. I love when the events turn out good, like the events that we had. Um, Another thing that kind of drains me too is more of an emotional thing, because I'm like, okay, once I graduate, who's going to sustain a club, so that's
Mhm.
another thing that I've been working on this semester, really, and I really got to push it start next semester. Who's going to take over? I really want these clubs to go, maintain once I leave. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. And that's hard, right? All right, Trina. So, what's your role? And then which part of that officer role gives you the most energy?
So I am president of SAD. I'm treasurer of Active Minds, which I haven't been very active of because I've had to take a step back because I have over committed myself this semester.
Okay.
And I know that PTK isn't a club, but I am VP of fellowship, and that one feeds me the most because I have taken and I get to be my most creative. So with starting the fellowship tables and bringing PTK out into the atrium once a month and doing these like little events that are open to everyone, it just brings me so much happiness and joy to put them together. And it helps me like get through like the harder things.
I'm gonna ask you a reflective question.
Sure.
What enables or allows you, promotes you to be able to do those little events out in the atrium every month?
That PTK has a lot more money than the other clubs.
Yeah. So, and you said, does anyone know, just off the top, you know what the budget is, of Love Grow Serve or
I know
of
that-
Active Minds?
I know that it's a lot, that they have to earn their money. I know that for SAB, we have like $800 in our account.
That's a lot, how much, off the top, as VP of Fellowship, so I'm asking you some questions where either you may know the answers and you may be able to hit these balls out, or you may not fully know. I'm just asking questions where my mind takes me is where the questions go. How much does it cost to put on something in the atrium for VP of Fellowship doing with PDK?
So for the supplies so far, a lot of the times it's been stuff we've had on hand. I've brought from home, we've had in Scarlett's office.
So that saves money actually though, right?
Yes,
So,
but we have used about the $50 under the food budget to stop at like Walmart and get snacks and stuff.
okay.
I would say probably around $100.
Okay, so I'm thinking here in terms of which these could also be small wins, right? That if you have $800 just and we're just talking about Rise, right? SAB here, that, yeah, under $50, right? You could do that, 16 times? Technically in a year, use up all of your budget. Though at the same time, and I'm saying that one, if you're the fundraising, if you're actively fundraising, I don't know if you are or not. I'm not making any claim or anything. I'm just saying, let's just say you're not. So, but like if you were, you'd actively be making money, can continue to build money in. You do the incentive program and get it at least do the majority of it. You can make over $900, right? So in a year, so you're using up all that money. Let's say you do it under $50, using up all that money for the 16, or you could go to the big events and do only 8, but you are getting your money back and then actually $100 roughly, right? Just with the incentive alone. What I'm getting at though is, yes, definitely without doubt, as an organization, PDK is definitely going to have money. It's part of what being an org is, right? And the support team is a little bit more structured, and you're going to have a dedicated advisor or advisors, right? But I think that gives you the most energy, right? Or if it gives you energy, which I think in some ways gives you joy, right? You could provide and do those same things for your club, and you can, and I know it would maybe be a little bit hard because you might not feel like you're having the issues with delegation or the issues with just communication.
Well, and I
but
think
you could
it's
still
harder
do
to
them.
get the advisors behind you because of the
How-
budget.
Well, how so? Can you give me an example? Because I don't see it. If you talk to them, if you're having a meeting with them and you're saying, this is a plan, are you able to back this plan or not, right? I can see things like a schedule availability, right? But what else, or again, as I mentioned, delegation can definitely be a very big problem, right? But besides that, what other issues do you identify? Because I don't identify any other issues.
I guess they don't, especially if it was maintained like within Rise and they just did like little inside Rise events and had them be SAB events. They wouldn't all fall on me because I don't have the capacity to do more. that might actually be something that could bring more members to the table.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again,
And a lot, like I said, a lot of that stuff is stuff that people can just bring, like most people have extra crafting stuff at home and you bring it in and it just brings people together.
yeah, it's even probably some degree tax writable. I mean, honestly, if I think about that, right? I mean, I don't know if that's 100% true, but it could be. I mean, could be tax writable if it's basically donating stuff. But I'm just,
It's just giving me more for my room, for my ADHD to buy more stuff.
but what I'm trying to get at is the thought that, yes, there is always, it should never always fall on one person alone. And yet it always ends up doing that to some degree, but, and I've learned that in my time as a student leader, but working with those advisors are going to help to make it clear that if you're having a hard time, or if the other person that you're trying to communicate is having a hard time connecting you to, or connecting the advisor, can sit in there and find a way to maybe reach them, because they're skilled at they're hired to be in the job to some extent to have some sort of effective communication and skill, or there's just always ways, right? So, I'm saying the joy aspect, if you're tapping into something, you can bring in some joy. You can also bring in some membership that you might not, that your org was doing that maybe your club can, which is interesting, right? So what part drains you the most?
The fact that I just realized that we're having extra meetings because of our event. We have one tomorrow and now I have to fill out the agenda that I totally forgot about.
That would drain. And what would help you hang in there? Some more support?
That we're having these extra meetings to put on an event to help people have a meal, to make them feel like they have a family when they don't, because right now it's a really hard time and families are really divided.
Yeah, that is, and the idea of what you're doing. And I feel like I kind of summed that a way identifying that energy. That thing just shut off. What the heck?
You ended it.
No, I didn't end it. No, I think like just that's crazy. What the heck is that? Okay. Oh, I ended it. Oh, oops. What would help? Okay, going back. No, I like clicking it. Keeps me going. Here's the thing again. Hit F5 again. What would we've identified that, to some degree, that the two are somewhat linked to the energy and the hanging in there. But what, if anything, if there's any other thing, what would gives you joy in being a club officer?
The connecting people.
Right.
I am accomplishing a lot of my goals that I needed to overcome. I'm recovering agoraphobic, and it's helping me with what I want to do. I want to be a social worker and a case manager and work with underserved children and help them deal with their trauma. And the things that I'm getting to do as a club officer is going to roll over into the kinds of things that I want to do with children with trauma.
It's very good. That is a lot of joy right there. That's very impressive. So what is one practice, time management, balancing time management? What is one practice that's been essential, useful, helpful to your time management success as a club officer for just this semester? And we'll start off with you, Trina.
I haven't been successful at this.
Okay.
I'm not successful. In fact, I feel guilt every single day because I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel guilty because I feel like I abandoned Barbara.
I mean, I understand the potential guilt behind that, but I would say, depending on if you've been communicating with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are still experienced. you probably were still, I can say I'm saying this, feeling this as myself, some guilt from it,
Mhm.
but you shouldn't have, that is internal versus knowing that you actually did drop the ball. You made a wise decision for yourself, for your own needs, right? So it's not really, I'm trying to, if anything, relieve you of that. I'll
No, I
tell you
know.
right now, it's okay not to feel guilty, right? You did your best, but you're doing your best technically because you're saying, I need to step back.
Yes, and I've been using the virtual option for things more often because I do live far away. And I have been practicing the word no.
Just, I remember you talking about that, and
Yes.
that's a very powerful thing.
I was at the Children Come First conference last week and we learned to say it with a smile.
It's very I mean, that's very powerful, right? It gives you back your freedom, that your independence to be able to really say, hey, no, I don't, not even feeling the peer pressure aspect as well. Like, no, no. And then you don't, you feel stronger and more empowered by that. So, yeah. But what would help you, what could be, what could help you with our time management then?
Um,
More support with officers?
More support with officers, dropping out of math.
Well, yeah, that would definitely probably help.
I could have less ambition. I'm part of the problem. I have a lot of ambition. There's a lot of things I want to do. I have a lot of ideas. My brain never stops.
Well, but you know who you are, right, at this point in your age, right? I know who I am at my point in my age, right? I know I'm gonna be this person, regardless if I try to change it or not. I can tune it a little bit, tweak it a little bit, but I am who I am. And I know that that's usually the case with everybody, right? They know who they are. So that, I mean, as much as, you can look at that as something that to be less than, or to say, I'm fulfilled with that. I can be okay with being that. I just have to have more reasonable or manageable expectations with that though.
But this is the first time that I have been this person with self-confidence. So it's different.
Okay.
So I'm working on figuring out how to manage that.
Well, that's work. That's a good work in progress. So that's
Now I feel like I'm in therapy, thanks, Sean.
I don't think that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. I like that. All right. So, Hashmi, well, you throw and tell me, what is one practice that's helped you be successful, or that's been useful in your idea of time management as a club officer this semester?
Yeah, honestly, well, it might be a tiny thing, but I used to not use technology at all, and I started using Teams Calendar, which really helped me not only like to put the meetings on Teams, because I used to not believe in Teams Calendar. I used to think it's going to be more hectic, but actually helped me a lot. Not only just putting the meetings together and what's not, but also like to-do lists. So, example, I block a time of my day to just finish that to-do list, for example, like looking at my bank account or something, and then I go back to my regular day. So really using Outlook and Teams calendar and Outlook calendar, my apologies, have helped me a lot, even though it seems a small thing, but really it changed me tremendously this semester.
No, I actually think that's a huge thing. As
Oh,
as
sorry, and I
ADHD,
yeah,
the
and I cannot
ADHD
forget.
person myself,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you want to finish what you have to say?
Yeah, I gotta say something quickly. I cannot forget, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, before I joined the Senate, you actually showed me your calendar, and that's when I got inspired to actually start doing my own calendar and categorizing things and
Yes.
stuff like that. When I sat with you in the student life, your old office, and you showed me your entire calendar when you were in the Senate and like in the school. So you inspired me a lot to build that calendar.
Well, I'm happy I did that because, again, I was gonna say, with my ADHD, I need to have that, right? That's probably something that I can't not have. I couldn't be successful if I didn't have it, right? Yes, having some sort of, in some aspect, I guess, going back to the idea of what accountability is, that's accountability right there, right? Having something that holds you to knowing like, I gotta get this done, timers. Having timers are another thing, right? A certain amount of time that you can dedicate, and that's, taken away, and then once you're done, boom. But yeah, and I'm still working on it, right? I'm still working on how that, to be even more useful with it. And I've started doing things where I have to say like, I only would put in meetings, right? But now I am doing things like picking up a rental vehicle, and I make a note in there, or I'd say like, this is a day off, or I'm continuously building off of it, but in terms of being helpful in general, right, that's huge. And it could really be so adaptable to a lot of people's different needs, but sometimes it's just hard to get into it and start it off. But once they get the foundations, you start to see how much more useful it can get, right? And it's just such an effective tool. But doesn't it just have to be Outlook? It can be tens of different types of Google calendars.
Except for you can't connect Google Calendar with the school exchange calendar.
Yes, you're into that technology.
Then you use the Apple Calendar, which sucks. And then you had to find some weird, fantastical calendar to make them all connect.
Yeah,
Hope that
I mean,
not everything.
that is the one bummer about actually being in the campus. But outside of life, though, just as a good, because these things span more than just being club officer. They span just being a good leader in general, right? Outside of just being in a club, in your community, what have you, right? So time management is really effective and really helpful. And then I guess we'll just quickly wrap up. So far, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned in your role that you would pass on to your successors? So some of you might have more time to think about this than others if you got some time yet. Hashmi, I'll let you start this question off.
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's a very broad question. I guess being consistently, in your projects, in your meetings, in your initiatives, and resilience really what keeps you going in your position. Uh, Again and again and again, I would say that really consistency and resilience is in your role or as a future advice to someone.
Nice. I like that. Trina, how about you?
I wish that I would have had more time last year to learn from Meredith because she was just a walking, she was amazing.
Yeah.
And she, even being so young, I could have learned a lot from her.
Yeah. So maybe a good one is transition documents, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
now we do have a lot of stuff, not so much documents, but stuff that she used to use now. But that's why this year was a bigger team. We're trying to make the roles more fluid. Like we have our positions, but everybody is going to kind of work together and know how to do everything.
Sweet, I love that. All right, well, make sure to wrap this up. I would say this has been great, fun, I think enlightening, right? And I think that this has helped for those who will watch this and for who participate in this, right? This 3-part series, right? Getting to hear from other officers, right? Know how that, their struggles, their successes, right? Their tips, tricks, and strategies, all of those things ends up making you a better officer yourself, a better leader, right? And able to see things through maybe that different lens. And we all have another set of these in the spring, looking at maybe some different topics, and look forward for that. All right. So
Thanks a lot, Sean. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, sign up for the involvement fair if you are interested. And other than that, we'll let you go. Now I can hit this button. Boom. Oh yeah, you have your hand up?
No, I was gonna say thumbs up for the involvement fair.
Rock solid, my friend. Rock solid. All right.
So I found